Africans. Today I'm announcing a number of changes to the national executive of our country. The purpose of these changes is to ensure that government is properly capacitated and directed to give effect to the commitments made in the State of the Nation address and the budget speech. We have said that the people of South Africa want action, they want solutions, and they want government to work for them. All members of the executive have been directed to focus on those agreed actions that will make a meaningful difference and change now, that will also enable real progress within the next year, and that will lay a solid foundation for a sustainable recovery into the future. All parts of government are focused on addressing those issues that concern South Africans the most, they being load shedding, unemployment, poverty, and the rising cost of living, and crime and corruption. There has been some concern expressed by South Africans about the amount of time it has taken to finalize these changes to the executive. This delay is the result of a number of processes that needed to be followed, some of which relate to the requirements of our Constitution relating to the appointment of members of the national executive of our country. In terms of our Constitution, the President appoints the Deputy President, ministers and deputy ministers from among members of the National Assembly. The President may also appoint no more than 2 ministers and 2 deputy ministers from outside the National Assembly. Understanding that just over 1 year remains in the term of this 6th administration, these changes I'm announcing are not about overhauling the national executive. The changes that I'm announcing now are intended to fill vacancies that have occurred in the executive and to direct government more effectively towards the areas that require urgent and decisive action. I have sought to balance the need for new skills and capabilities to drive the agenda that we outlined in the State of the Nation with the important task of ensuring stability and continuity in the work of government. In the course of attending to current challenges, we are establishing 2 new ministries. The first of these is the Minister for Electricity to deal with the immediate crisis of load shedding. The second is the Minister with specific responsibility for planning, monitoring, and evaluation to focus greater attention on the performance of government. While this will result in an increase in the number of ministries in the short term, as indicated in the State of the Nation address, I have instructed the Presidency and the National Treasury to develop a proposal to rationalize government departments, entities, and programs to ensure greater efficiencies. This work will result in the reduction of the number of ministries, and it will inform the configuration of government going into the next administration. So we will be reducing the number of ministries as we move forward. We said in the State of the Nation address that our most immediate task is to drastically reduce the severity of load shedding in the coming months and ultimately end load shedding altogether. Our focus is on the full and urgent implementation of the Energy Action Plan that I announced. As government, Eskom and other stakeholders, we are determined and committed to the plan. I'm therefore announcing the appointment of a minister in the presidency responsible for resolving the energy crisis. The primary task of the new minister will be to significantly reduce the severity and frequency of load shedding as a matter of urgency. Of course, working with a whole range of other entities. To effectively oversee the electricity crisis response, the appointed minister will have political responsibility, authority, and control over all critical aspects of the Energy Action Plan. This will help to deal with the challenge of fragmentation of responsibility across various departments and ministers, which, while appropriate under normal circumstances, is not conducive to addressing the crisis that we are in. The minister will be expected to facilitate the coordination of the numerous departments and entities involved in the crisis response. The minister will work with Eskom leadership to turn around the performance of existing power stations and to accelerate the procurement of new generation capacity, working with all colleagues. To enable the minister to do this work, I will, in terms of Section 97 of the Constitution, transfer to the minister certain powers and functions contained in relevant legislation. In the State of the Nation address, I announced that a national state of disaster had been declared to respond to the electricity crisis and its social and economic impact. The recently published disaster regulations empower the Minister of Electricity to issue directions to, among others, exclude critical facilities from load shedding where technically feasible, to expedite various regulatory processes for energy projects and enable Eskom to undertake critical maintenance more quickly and efficiently. The minister in the presidency for electricity will liaise with other relevant ministers to ensure coherence in the issuing of other directions during the national state of disaster. This minister will remain in office for as long as it is necessary to resolve the electricity crisis. So this, as I said, is a transitory ministry that is going to be focused hands-on on helping us to resolve the energy crisis. As I indicated in my reply to the State of the Nation debate on the 16th of February, Deputy President David Mabuza asked to step down from that position of Deputy President. I am grateful for his support over the 5 years of his tenure and for his dedicated service to the government and the people of South Africa. I have accordingly decided to appoint Mr. Paul Mashatile as Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa. With respect to ministers, I'm making the following appointments. Minister in the presidency will be Ms. Kombuzo Nchabeni, who will be responsible for the various tasks in the presidency ranging from South African state security, other various GCIS, and a number of other tasks that I will allocate to her. Minister in the presidency responsible for women, youth, and persons with disabilities will become Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. Minister in the presidency responsible for planning, monitoring, and evaluation will be Ms. Marupini Ramokgopa. And Minister in the presidency responsible for electricity will be Dr. Khosientso Ramokgopa. Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies will be Mr. Mondli Gungubele. Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs will be Ms. Tembing Kadime. Minister of Public Service and Administration will be Ms. Nokolo Kivit. Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure will be Mr. Sihle Zikalala. Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture will be Mr. Zizi Kodwa. Minister of Tourism will be Ms. Patricia DeLille. Minister of Transport will be Ms. Sindisiwe Chikunga. With respect to Deputy Minister, I'm making the following appointments. Deputy Ministers in the Presidency will be Ms. Nomasonto Mutaung and Mr. Kenneth Murolong. Deputy Minister in the Presidency responsible for women, youth and persons with disabilities will be Ms. Sisisi Tolashe. Deputy Minister in the Presidency responsible for planning, monitoring and evaluation will be Ms. Pinky Kekan. There will be 2 Deputy Ministers for Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs, as there are 2 distinct areas of responsibility. Mr. Pax Tau will largely be assisting with local government, and Mr. Zolile Benz Ngamashe with traditional affairs. There will be 2 Deputy Ministers for Water and Sanitation, Mr. David Mahlobo and Ms. Judith Chabalala. Deputy Minister of Public Works will be Ms. Bernice Swart. Deputy Minister of Small Business Development will be Ms. Dipuo Peters. Deputy Minister of Public Enterprises will be Mr. Obet Babela. Deputy Minister of Transport will be Mr. Lisa Mangu. I now wish to extend my appreciation to all outgoing ministers and deputy ministers for their service to this administration and to the people of South Africa. I have instructed both new and existing members of Cabinet to act with speed and urgency to address the challenges that our country faces. I expect them to fulfill their tasks with rigor and dedication, to adopt a zero-tolerance approach to corruption wherever it exists, and to place the interests of the people of South Africa foremost in the work that they do. This is the standard that I will hold them accountable to, and I have full confidence that they will meet that standard. In the end, we must waste no time and spare no effort in restoring the promise of South Africa, the promise that our people expect us to meet. I thank you, and our apologies for keeping you waiting for much longer than it was necessary. Thank you.